Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Go for a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
Hey, it's me, the Quenchies. I'm that late afternoon craving you just can't shake. Wait, what's that? Welch's Grape Aid? No! Made with real fruit and no added sugar, nothing answers the call of the Quenchies like Grape Aid. Got the Quenchies? Grab a Grape Aid in your juice aisle.
ABC Wednesdays.
Y'all complain all day. We want books. We want paper towels in the classroom. Bet you want raises, too.
I'm still waiting on the paper towels.
Abbott Elementary returns with the new season.
We asked the district for more after-school programs. They gave us $50 for class pets instead.
Critics cheer. Abbott Elementary continues to be one of the funniest and most beloved shows on TV.
What y'all doing out there?
Taking bribes.
Proud of y'all.
Abbott Elementary, Wednesdays, 9:30, 8:30 Central on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Don't Blame Me. I feel like I have to say it's morning because we look so like cozy and tired. If you're watching this, good fucking morning.
I completely forgot that you filmed this.
Oh.
And I was like, I can wear my sweats, no problem.
I mean, I'm so happy. I literally was like, I always have to like dress according to like what the guest is. So I'm like, fuck, if someone who like dresses really cute, I have to dress really cute. And this morning,
you're like, no, it's Allison.
This
I'll
morning,
be fine.
I was just like, I don't give a shit what anyone's wearing. I don't care. I got a new sweatshirt and it is so fucking comfortable. I'm just wearing it.
It's adorable.
So you can imagine my excitement when I was like, oh my God, yes, she's wearing leggings. If you want to see, we're recording this on YouTube. And the she I'm talking about is Allison Raskin is back.
Hello.
Excited to have you back.
I'm just honored to be back.
You gave great advice last time.
Wow.
The people love you.
Thank you.
And I feel excited when it's a guest that like has been on before and is also like good at giving advice, because then I'm like, okay, cool, I don't have to stress.
well, I have a similar show, so years of experience.
Yeah, and me stealing what
the international.
No, I know, but what did I steal it for?
For when we do the international calls.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you steal my song?
Well,
you
I
pointed it out last time.
I forgot. Look, I don't know what's happening, but I don't have a memory.
It's okay. Same.
Yeah.
Same. I don't remember anything.
The fact that I remember I've been on this podcast is pretty cool.
It's okay. I literally will have people over here and I'm like, you've been here before, and I don't tell them or anything. I was like, yeah, no, I've never been here. So yeah, this is an advice podcast if you guys are new here. And if you want to be on an upcoming episode, you can leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. And international, well, see, I'm second guessing myself now because you're here. I stopped. I didn't steal. I stopped though.
Yeah. You can keep doing it.
But now you're here and like it's just too much pressure. And international listeners, you can give us an audio message. You can just email it to us. You don't just like immediately. You can't physically give it to us. And send an audio message to meghanpodcast@gmail.com.
Hey Megan. So I have a situation. There's this guy that I'm kind of into, and he is apparently into me too, but hasn't said anything. We always joke around when we're together, and he like introduces me as his wife, but like, hey, say something serious. And like, we'll literally get down on one knee and be like, will you marry me? But it's always like joking. We're always just joking and playing around about it. But apparently he's serious, but hasn't like said anything to me that he's serious. We have a mutual friend that he talks to about this, and he tells her, like, oh yeah, I think we could be really good together, but I don't want to do anything because I don't want to hurt her or mess up what we currently have. So if you could give me some tips or advice on what I should do to fix the situation, see if it goes anywhere, that would be awesome. Love you. Bye.
Wait, so you're not dating him?
No, I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
She's kind of dating him.
It doesn't sound like she's dating him at all.
I'm confused.
I think that he just flirts with her and then doesn't want to actually commit to anything, is what I'm getting a sense of.
Yeah.
It makes me feel icky.
Yeah, I mean, I think that unless there's like an obvious obstacle like between you guys dating, like when Mats and I like were friends, and we liked each other. We worked together, so we couldn't date. And he would refer to me like as a joke, like as his work wife, but not to like other people. And I think there's something a little odd about the fact that there isn't an obstacle, and it's like, oh, I don't want to hurt. Like, that's such a classic fuckboy line of being like, I don't want to hurt you. Like, I don't want, like, I'm just not at this place. And like that kind of thing. It does just kind of sound, I don't know, like he's like flirting with you with no consequences, or there is no commitment to it.
I almost feel, and maybe I just am so manipulative, I assume other people are too, that like he is using the mutual friend. So knowing the mutual friend will say these things to the girl, so that the girl can then be like, look, it's not a big deal. Let's just see what happens. Like, if we get hurt, we get hurt. Like, it's totally fine, you know? And then he's like in the clear.
Yeah. So then when he like is inevitably being like deuces, it's like, well, I warned you.
Exactly. It just reeks of immaturity to me.
Yeah. And I had a guy that I was like friends with in college, and we used to sleep in the same bed almost every single night.
Weird.
And as I get older, I'm like, this is super. It's also like I was like
bed?
Sleep in a twin bed almost every single night, hang out all the time, would just like hold hands, like would like gas me up all the time, like, oh my God, you look so fucking hot. Like all of that stuff. It would just make like very flirty comments, and all of our friends like, ah. And then we had like kind of went on one date, but it was so clear that I was like, oh no, this is like, you don't actually like me. Like this is just like a flirtation fun thing. Did you like him? Doing. I mean, to be honest, he was really hot, but I like personality wise, I love attention, and like there's something to be said about like when someone's like giving you so much that makes you feel like, oh wow, they really, really like me. Like, oh, I kind of feel like I probably like you more too. But yeah, it was super odd, and there wasn't anything to it. I think in general, if someone's going to have like if someone has feelings for you, they're probably going to act on it, but in the way that like I think if he hadn't talked to your friend, I would say maybe he's like trying to do it in a joking way, and like you should bring it up seriously. But saying that to your friend, it is kind of like this is covering my ass. Yeah,
if that's the detail where I lost hope in this situation.
Yeah.
I'm someone, I don't like it. If I don't like you and you give me attention, it just makes me uncomfortable.
Oh, 100%.
Like I know I know a lot of people like keep people
but, like,
around.
How hot? What about how hot? Depending on how like attractive they are.
Maybe. That just never happened to me.
It
so
changes. It's okay. He was like one of like the 5 hot guys at my school. And I also look back on it now, and I'm like, do you forget when it's not that I had camp goggles? I kind of had, it's just like the kinds of people who I went to school with. So he's like covered in like really bad tattoos, and like has like kind of an army like buzz cut. And I'm like, now I'm like, no, I don't find that attractive. But like college me was like, yeah, give me that. Yeah. Give me those really tight little jeans and your wife beater tank top.
Could you wear his jeans?
It was Riverside. No, he's got some thick thighs. Oh, he's got thick neck, thick thighs.
Thick thighs save lives.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. But yeah, I think if I were you, I would just move on and date other people and do all that stuff. And I think also from there and you dating other people, you'll see, it sounds bitchy, like how good of a friend he actually is. And like, because if you're dating someone, they're probably not going to be comfortable with him doing this kind of stuff. And it might just be like he wants to know, like you to know, I don't know, like that wants to be like, oh yeah, I could get it.
I have a feeling that he's probably doing this to a lot of people. I wonder if there are other girls out here who would call in and say almost exactly the same thing.
That's a good point.
I just like, I don't know, the older I get, the more I'm just about like directness. And like, if someone likes you, you know that they like you. And like, as whenever you're in like a confusion state, it's just not the best.
Yeah, no, it's not fun, and it's not productive. And then once you actually get together, it's not as interesting or as exciting. It's like the whole like, oh my God, like what's going to happen kind of thing. So yeah, I'd say move on. And
if you want to, you can sit him down and be like, what's going on? Do you have actual feelings for me or not? And put him on the spot. And then just so that you can either say yes or no and you can like move forward. But I would not like put him on a pedestal and romanticize the situation, because I don't think that there's real substance there. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think your first instinct is right. I think he's just trying to get into them panties and then be able to peace out whenever he wants. Or he just likes getting the attention from you, and that's all he really wants. Yeah, is he a Leo? Because if so, it's going to be that one. Totally, yeah. That's me. I know nothing about this. What's your sign again? I'm a Gemini. Oh, okay. But apparently I'm more of a, what am I more of? A Capricorn? I wasn't there that day. Oh, man. That was crazy. You're more of a Capricorn? Oh, really? Yeah. Melissa's also my producer on my podcast.
everyone hates when we talk about zodiacs. Only some. Actually, we get calls of people telling us what like their sun and their moon is when they're giving us like when they're asking for advice, and I'm like,
that's not related.
No. They'll be like, an FYI, if you need this, like I am like a Cancer sun and I'm like a Scorpio moon. And I'm like, okay, for sure. But then people get mad. And they're like, here in the Midwest, we don't give a shit about zodiac. I'm like, okay.
No, there's tons of psychics and stuff there too.
Mm-hmm. Well, we had a pet psychic on the podcast.
I was there then.
And the episode ends with like Melissa coming in to talk about the episode, and she just fucking hated the psychic. Just like such disgust and like, yeah, okay. Like
that's on brand.
It was amazing.
I mean,
Gabby
and
I
she
were
was
like,
saying was just so
why
basic.
would you want a pet psychic?
Because I wanted to know how my dog feels about me.
Well,
and apparently not great.
But like everything she said, you already knew it.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know that my dog considered herself to be like my auntie.
Yeah.
That was a twist.
What the? Why that relationship?
I don't know.
Should we move on to the next one?
Hi, Megan and Melissa and possible guest. So I'm 24 years old and recently moved in with my boyfriend, which is going great. We're very happy. So we have also been dating for just over 2 years. So my topic that needs some advice on is how to start having better conversations and expressing my opinion with his family on certain topics without sounding like a complete and total bitch. One of those main topics is the extreme guilt his parents are making him feel and myself on moving out. They believe that he should still be at home saving his money and, you know, sitting on his ass in a way. And they bring that up constantly. They've brought it up ever since, you know, almost 6 months ago when we started talking about moving in together. They've constantly just been guilt tripping him that he shouldn't leave. And even now, whenever he goes and visits his parents, his mom starts bawling her eyes out, saying how he should just move back in with them and that everything's okay. Like, there's still space for him. There's no problem for him to move back in. And so I'm starting to get a little agitated about that and want to know how to approach that next time that comes up when I'm around. Especially, like, I don't want to sound like a bitch or anything. But also, like, I'm sorry. I also don't know how to not say that they just need to get over themselves. And, like, your son moved out and he's happy. Deal with it. I don't know. So that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know how to talk to his parents or a lot of his family without getting really heated about it. So whatever advice you guys have for me, that would be great. Thank you and love listening to the show.
Oh my God, I relate to you so much. I very much understand this point. Do you have you ever been in issue with any significant other's parents or anyone?
No, but I've seen complicated relationships. I'm sorry, my stomach keeps rumbling, but I am of a firm belief in this situation. It's not her responsibility. It's his responsibility.
Yeah.
Like, she needs to tell him that he has to say something.
Yeah. And I think that's exactly what I was going to say. You have to take a cue from him and what he wants. Like, it's not your place to like tell his family off unless he says, hey, this is what I would really like you to do. I'd like to have a conversation with them and you, and feel free to like say what you want to say and then clear with him what's okay to say and what's not. But
I almost feel like it's something he's got to just like deal with on his own.
Well, because I think it's the issue that his mom doesn't want him to grow up, and I think he needs to prove to her like, no, I want to grow up. I am growing up, and this is how I'm doing it. Is I'm gonna tell you and be like, no, stop,
and that I'm prioritizing my partner's feelings, and like you are actively hurting my partner when you behave this way, and you're like dismissing our life together and the fact that we live together. It's not like I moved out and I'm living alone.
Yeah. Yeah, and I understand your feeling and getting really frustrated with it, but it's just not your place. And as much as like there's so many times where I wish I could have been like in any relationship like that where I'm like, I want to I don't want to say something. Like, I got words to say.
What have you wanted to say?
No, but just anything along the lines of like, if I like any guys that I've dated where like their moms have been, I'm not even like generalizing that moms are like this. I'm saying in my experience, the guys I've dated, moms that are like highly, highly, highly involved. Like my high school boyfriend's mom, she would make him send pictures of where he was at all times of day, and like because she didn't want him to go do anything, and she was like so like he was not allowed to do anything. Like we were not like she didn't want me to come over for dinner. Like she thought I was a distraction, and I was like, it's senior year. He's already gone into college. What am I a distraction from? Like he already aced his SATs. Like he's got scholarships to go to school. Swim team is done. Like what am I distracting him from? Like there's these grades don't count, and it's that kind of stuff. But it's like, well, it's not my place to say that, and it can be super frustrating. But I think also it probably feels shitty for you on top of it is because if your boyfriend's not necessarily like if it's not being squashed, if I were you, I would then start feeling like, well, do you feel like that too? Is that the reason why you're not saying anything? Is like now it's like making me insecure about our relationship. Like, would you rather be living at home? But you're saying that you know that he's happy and all of that kind of stuff. And it's his responsibility to tell his parents that he's growing up and they need to deal with it. And it's really hard and to tell someone and by hard to tell someone, you shouldn't tell someone unless you're like a mental health professional. Like you can't say like, FYI, your parents are manipulative and toxic. Like
it could also be like a cultural thing too. Because in some cultures, they don't want their kids to move out until their kids are buying their own house.
Yeah. But I think the conversation he needs to have with them, or not even that, but whatever, he needs to have a conversation with them. I think what you need to do in this situation is anytime someone brings it up, just like smile and nod and change the subject. And that I think it's very clear that and fair that you wouldn't want to talk about it. And I think you have every right to like obviously not be a bitch about it, which I understand is hard because it's hard for me sometimes too, just to be there like, oh, I really wish he lived at home, and be like, oh, we really love our apartment. So tell me like what's new in your life, and just totally like pivot and change the subject. And I think the more that you can do that, even if they find that bitchy, they can't like run and tell someone like, oh yeah, I was telling like I'm like Aunt Becky and dark. I'm
in jail.
I'm fucking in jail. And like I went and like and then go tells his mom like, yeah, I was trying to act like I was telling her like how terrible it is that he's moved out, and she just like kept changing the subject and like telling me that she loved my shirt. Like, you know, there's certain things that like on paper and like when people actually say it out loud, they can get the point without you having to kind of like be cold about it and just change the subject, because there are some things that don't dignify a response, and you don't have to, the more that you just avoid it, I think eventually they're going to stop talking about it, and it might take them a little bit longer than 6 months to like get over this kind of a thing. But
to me, the bigger issue is what is the dynamic between where your boyfriend falls when how he treats you versus how he treats his family, and what are his priorities, and how, you know, like, because if this is a serious relationship and you're potentially marrying into this family, like you want to establish now that like you and your partner are the team. Yeah. And so I think like the real conversation to be had, like I said, is with your boyfriend. Yeah. And you know, what is he willing to stand up for you? Is he willing to put his foot down? Because if he is still in a place of like completely cowering or like giving in to his parents to the, you know, where he'll like let his mom cry for an hour to him about it, then he has some serious like growing up and to do and needs to gain some independence. And that's more of my worry than the actual family.
Yeah, because I think a serious relationship that like is hopefully, if you guys want to, ending it like to end in marriage, it becomes what used to be his family unit of like his mom, his dad, whoever raised him, and like his like siblings and all of that stuff. Then it becomes you two are the unit. So when you go to his parents' house, you are the unit together. It's not you going into this other family unit that he's a part of. It's you guys, I don't want to say you guys against them, but as my therapist always says, like you need, when you're like approaching those situations, it's someone in your court. It's like you're not playing, it's not one person playing singles and the other person that got like 15 people on their team. Like that's not how it works. And he needs to prioritize you. Like you said, I think that's like the biggest thing to have a conversation with him about. And then I think he should then obviously have a conversation with his parents, and that part shouldn't be your problem. Right. But I very much understand where you're coming from.
Sounds awful.
Yeah. Sounds fun.
Terrible to say.
Okay. Well, best of luck. We're sending positive thoughts your way.
Let's hope your boyfriend crying. Steps up.
Yeah. Put me in, coach.
Hi, so this has been on my mind for a while. I don't know if it's like a big deal, so anyways, I'll get back into it. I was cleaning my boyfriend's bathroom, and
oh god,
I found a condom, like it was already open, and it was on the floor, and he was like, this is why I don't want you to clean my bathroom, and blah, blah, blah. Like, he got really defensive, and I was like, are you cheating on me? Like, tell me right now. I need to know right fucking now. And then he said that, no, it's because I guess he has, like, a dildo or a butt plug, he was telling me, and that, like, he put it on his dildo and butt plug, which I don't have a problem with guys doing, you know, ass play with them. I don't care about that. It's just that my boyfriend doesn't really, like, share that part of himself with me. So, like, I've never seen him do it, and I've never seen the toy, and I'm just like, okay, I accepted that excuse right then and there, but should I ask him to see his dildo or whatever toy he's talking about for, like, evidence so I know it's fucking real? You know what I mean? Or should I just, like, let it go because I've been with my boyfriend for, like, almost 3 years and, like, there's more ups than downs, you know what I mean? Anyways, let me know what the hell I should do about that one. Thanks, bye.
Look, I'm fine with the dildo. I'm fine with the butt plugs. What I'm not fine with is the response, this is why I don't want you to clean my bathroom.
Yeah.
That's very yucky.
Yeah. I don't have a ton of experience with butt plugs, but I've never heard
You don't need to lie on the podcast.
Fuck no, I got IBS. I'm not fucking with any ass shit.
We should start an IBS podcast.
Truly?
Right?
Yeah. Honestly, it's just a constant journey.
I threw up. I just like tried to eat a salad the other day and just immediately threw it up.
Me with red onions. I was like, red onions are fine. And then I was like, oh, no, it's not. My body is like immediately, nope. Yeah, I first of all, I've said this before on the podcast, but no matter how long you've been with someone, it's not like you haven't invested too much time. And it's not like, there's more ups and downs. And I have a big issue with like pro-con lists in that kind of sense, because it's like you're weighing things like, there are these way bigger ups and all this stuff. But it's like if the ups are like, he's really nice to me, like he always like kisses me good morning, and then like the downs are like, well, he cheats on me. It's like, well, that's actually like weighs a little bit heavier more. I don't think you necessarily need to ask to see the evidence like in order to like prove it or figure it out. I mean, my gut instinct is he cheated on you.
But was there cum in the condom? Because if he's doing it just on his butt plug, then it wouldn't be any cum in it.
How close do you inspect that condom?
That's a really good point.
Yeah. Do you still have it? Did you keep it?
Detective Melissa's on the case.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I don't like, okay, so there's two scenarios here. One, he cheated and made up this elaborate lie. So that sucks. And the other is that he's like keeping a huge part of himself and his sexuality from you, and then is defensive when you try to enter that part of his life.
Yeah.
So neither scenario is great.
No, and I think honestly both scenarios are useful, but it's the only way you can move through either of those is once you have all of the information, and once like you are having open and honest conversations. And I think you just need to like sit down with him and be like, hey, we like really need to talk about this. It really hurt for you to be super defensive. That didn't make me feel great. And here I am like cleaning your bathroom, and I find this, which I have every right to like question you about and like be upset. And your reaction when I'm upset should not be getting upset at me. It should be seeing like, okay, I understand why like you're upset about this.
Totally.
And like, let's talk about it. And because that's also just like, it's just redirecting anger. And then you guys need to have a conversation. And if it's, I think if it is the fact that it is like a toy and that's what it is, I think he should hopefully be really forthcoming and show you it and all of that stuff. But then I think if he's still sticking to that lie, I think you say, okay, can I see it? Like, can I like, and I think again, it's a valid question. And if he wants like gaslight you and be like, no, oh my God, like, why are you trying to be like all up in my shit? It's like, well, there's how am I like, obviously I'm going to try and figure this out. And I think if he's embarrassed, and I think there is something that like a lot of men feel like shame about, like anal stuff if they're not identifying. I think a lot of like straight men feel shame about that kind of stuff, and they don't have to. But I think if that is the case, like I could see him being defensive about that. But then also if he's refusing to show that to you, I think you need to like be really like blunt with like, okay, did you cheat on me? Like, let's have this conversation. And I think we said before on the podcast, like, I don't think it's makes a relationship doomed. I think you can work through it. But the bigger issue is how he's going to treat you. And if he actually wants to work through it, or if he's just going to like lie and gaslight you and do all of this other stuff, I think you need to both be super, super honest, because there's no way you're going to be able to work through this. And even you saying like, or should I just like drop it? And like, you're not going to be able to. You're never going to be able to drop it at this point unless you figure out what it is that he's actually hiding. And then you can work through it. Otherwise, I think you're just going to end up like looking through his text messages and never trusting him and following and all of this other shit.
Yeah, like when you're choosing a life partner, their personality matters a lot, you know, and their demeanor and how they handle certain situations. And so if you sit him down and you're like, look at this situation from my perspective. In your bathroom was a condom I know you didn't use with me. Like, can't you see why I'm worried? And if his reaction to that is, like you said, defensive, gaslighting, like that's a personality trait that is not going to do you well for the next 50 years. Like, I don't, you know, like regardless of whether or not he cheated, that reaction is very unhealthy and toxic. And if he can't recognize that, then I think that you got to reassess the relationship. Yeah. You know, because it's just like you just don't want to have to deal with that for the rest of your life. And if it's a trait and a quality about him that I think a lot of people don't, unless you're like a sociopath, you don't necessarily know that you're gaslighting. But if it gets to a point where like he has a breakthrough and it's like, oh wow, I don't want to do this anymore, and he wants to go to therapy and work through it, like that's if he can recognize
great.
Why that reaction wasn't okay, then like that's a great sign. You guys can work on stuff. You can figure out what actually happened regardless. But like really look to how this person is responding to you and how they're treating you, because you had every right to question that situation.
Yeah. And I also just find like extreme defensiveness usually, and when someone's being like extremely defensive and redirecting that anger towards you, it's because it's the thing that's worse, you know?
Yeah, like you just don't, it's just life's too short to deal with that personality type forever.
Yeah. And if he thought that, I'm kind of backtracking on what I even said about how like some men might feel like embarrassed about this. If you also know that, and you have set that precedent in your relationship that you are like not judgmental and like you're totally cool with that kind of like, it's not a weird thing. And you find the fact that he would be like so angry about and like defensive about that. And you're like, well, that like, why I wouldn't be angry. Like, you know me, you know, right. I wouldn't be angry. I think you also need to like put that in perspective and be like, oh, wow, this reaction might actually be because he did cheat. And again, yeah, if he cheated and you guys want to work through it, and not just you, if he actually wants to work through it and he like wants to do the hard work and like completely improve your relationship and how he treats you, then that's totally great. But at the same time, if he's not doing that, the amount of years you put in, that doesn't matter. It's not like, oh, okay, this I guess is what I have to deal with now. Like, this is who I've chosen. Because yeah, there are great people who will move past. And like we say, it's not about the events that I think I don't think it's about the events that take place. I think it's how you recover and change from them. And
so even if he cheated, I don't like that he's lying about it.
Yeah.
To me, that's like a bigger betrayal than potentially the actual action.
No, totally. But
yikes.
Inspect that condom if you haven't already. And let us know. Let us know what happens. And we're sending you positive thoughts. And I hope it's.
And definitely don't clean up after this asshole.
Yeah. Good God.
Until he writes things. Let him clean your bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah. And just leave like a bunch of.
Just a ton of diaphragms.
Well, we're sending you good luck and let us know how it goes. We're going to go on a quick break, guys, and we'll be right back. Okay, guys, we are back from our break, and we are going to get into the rest of the calls.
I have this issue that I've been having. I graduated college like a year ago. And I only slept with one person in college, and I slept with like a handful of people now, and I keep running into this issue where the idea of sex is fine. Like, I get horny, I masturbate, I watch porn, I talk like with my girlfriends about it, like I'm very comfortable in that, but then when it's happening, I kind of like take a passenger seat to the situation. Like, I kind of just do whatever they want to do, and I usually don't orgasm, but I pretend like I do, which I know is bad, but I'm like a real people pleaser, so it's hard for me to like make someone feel bad in the moment, even though they don't really care about me that much. But just like some background, I wore a purity ring in high school, not because I was super religious, but because I watched porn at a super young age and was really guilty about it. So I was like, I'll do this for you, God. And then when I had my first boyfriend, like sophomore year of college, I was like, actually, I don't know about that. But then like 2 or 3 boyfriends later, I lost my virginity, but like we weren't in a relationship when I lost my virginity. I was just kind of like ready to do it. So I did it, and that was fine. And then we dated for like 2 years. And in that relationship, like I didn't really feel comfortable doing new things, even though like he really wanted to. And I don't know if it was like the difference in experience or not, but like that kind of pattern has like continued now that I'm out of that relationship and out of college, and like all these people that I'm sleeping with are people that I don't know very well. I've only been on like 2 or 3 dates with them, which could be a contributing factor, but I also couldn't or wasn't comfortable doing it in like a relationship with the person I loved. So I'm just like, I don't know how to get more comfortable with it or like how to talk about it. So any advice you could give? I do go to therapy, but my therapist is a man, and I'm like kind of uncomfortable talking about it with him, but maybe like I should, because maybe that's the point. So I don't know, any advice you could give, that would be great. Thanks.
Get a new therapist. You have to feel comfortable talking to your therapist about everything. And I would never have a male therapist, so I totally get that. But I think it would really behoove you to start with someone who you feel like you can talk through, because this is a big thing that you do need to unpack with the help of a professional.
No, yeah, I very much agree. And I think, like, again, I'm not knocking like male gynecologists or male therapists or anything like that. It's not about like anyone's gender. It's about, what do you feel? Who do you feel like you're going to be the most honest and comfortable with?
I try to interact with as few men as possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's I mean, I don't disagree. But yeah, I think talking to your therapist about this could be like really helpful. I'm sure that there is a part of it that is like some guilt induced thing. I don't have a ton of experience with like religious like guilt with sex, but I also think that there's just, as much as you've had sex, you had your boyfriend that you had sex with and didn't feel necessarily comfortable talking about like what you wanted and what you like and all of that stuff. And then it's like not one night stand, but guys that you don't know as well. I honestly think that this sounds like pretty much every girl I've ever known. I never really, I think there was a couple things that like I would like say what I wanted, but kind of like in like, whatever kind of way with like guys that I've dated before I was in like a way longer, way more serious relationship, just because I felt more comfortable. And I think there's something about, I mean, there's not a lot of talk about like, oh, like women liking sex. Like women actually enjoy this too. And these are the things that like get women off. It's not about like achieving the female orgasm. It's so much more about the man. And so I think that if you're not in a space of with guys, if they're not asking you what you're into or what you like, it can be kind of like, well, I don't want to speak up and say anything because like I don't like that kind of a thing. But I would say if you're going on a date with someone and you've only known them for like a couple dates and you're like, well, I want to sleep with them, I say like, why just fucking say what you're into, say what you want, like try it out and see what happens from there. But also if you're dating people who, if you're not finishing, I'm curious, are they going down on you? Is that something that you enjoy? Do you usually find that when you're like masturbating, like are you like more like clitoral stimulation? Are you more like penetrative and like all of that stuff? Because if I was hooking up with a guy and he didn't go down on me and like that was it, I probably wouldn't feel comfortable asking for what I wanted, because I'd be like, well, you clearly don't care. Like you're clearly like, you're here for you, you're not here for me. It's like that meme where it's like a girl gives a guy a hand job and he's like, yeah, how was that for you? And you're like, what? It's like, oh, did you finish? And you're like, no. So I think that, yeah, I think being with people who make you feel, who make you feel like they care about your enjoyment of it will also Do you know what I mean? Because like, why are you lying? I mean, I get why you're lying, but
I think that a thing that you learn about yourself as you get older is what kind of sex makes you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And so for a lot of people, they can have sex after 2 dates and it's not a big deal, but you might be someone where you need to feel emotionally safe to enjoy the experience. So I would, for now, while you're looking for your new therapist and working to unpack that, I would make a rule sort of where you're not going to have sex with someone until you feel safe. And what does safe mean to you? Like for me, that means like a committed monogamous relationship. Like it might mean something different for you, but trying to sit down with yourself and figure out what that is. Because I think you might end up kind of shooting yourself in the foot if you continue to have unsatisfactory sexual experiences, because then it becomes a bigger and bigger deal in your head. Where if instead, like right now, you kind of like take a step back and you wait until you meet someone who you think, hey, I might be comfortable enough to talk to this person about this.
Yeah.
Then I think you can kind of change how you view it, because I know sex can cause so much anxiety for people and can become a really deep-seated issue, and you're still really young and, you know, you haven't had that many partners. So I really think that I'd be protective of yourself and of your body and wait until you're with someone where you think like, this is someone I could maybe talk to. And then when that's happening, it's not a comfortable conversation necessarily, but it's it's behavioral therapy, it's exposure therapy, like kind of forcing yourself to have that conversation when you do end up meeting that person and getting to that point with them.
Yeah. And we've talked about it before, and like I think there's something that is actually sexy, but also an easier way to ease into that conversation is like flirty sexting with someone, and to be like, oh, what do you like? And starting that, like, what do you like kind of a thing. Because I think even also if you've only come when masturbating, like, or watching porn or things like that, it's very different when you're getting yourself off versus with a partner. So if you've never gotten there with a partner,
you might not know what you like.
No.
And that's totally fine. And you can say that.
Yeah. And I've said before, like I had gotten close to like coming with different guys, but like Mats is the only, like he literally wears it like a badge on his chest where he's like, I am the one man. But even with that, like I then felt so much more comfortable in our relationship because it was so clear that he was like, no, this isn't just about me. Like I really want you to get there. I really want you to enjoy yourself. And then it's like, oh, okay, now in relationship to like being with another person, what is it that I like that they do? But if they're not doing anything for you, it can be hard to just be like, hey, can you do like, this is what, because you also at the same time, you're trying to ask for something, but you don't even necessarily know what you're asking for. You just know that like, hey, I would like if there was some more care and like compassion taken towards me enjoying this experience and not just you. And maybe that is waiting a little bit longer when it is someone that you are also just more into. And then also I think there's like building that anticipation of someone that you're like not looking at and being like, okay, like, yeah, I could fuck you. It could be like, I need to rip your clothes off right now. I am like so fucking horny. I really, really, really want you. And then maybe from there you'll feel like that's like sexy and empowering and makes you feel, I don't know, like more like you feel more desired when you can kind of like wait that process out. And then, yeah, I think that you just need to, it sucks, especially when you're young, that like some guys are just it's just like the worst. It's a hit it and quit it mentality. But maybe the first step is just next time you just don't fake it. And then you see what that reaction is. And maybe you don't fake it and they're like, did you finish? And you're like, oh, no. And they're like, oh, if they're like, damn, man, that sucks. And then like they're done, then it's like, okay, cool. This is not a great guy. But if it's like, oh, I'm like, well, what is it that you're like, let me go down on you. Like, let's do anything like that. I think that could be a good exercise. That's not necessarily asking for what you want outright, but it's just not accepting what they're giving you and saying like, yeah, you're doing a great job. Because also no guys ever learn from that at all.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that, again, like you kind of probably need to be a little further along in your relationship with someone for them to like really, you want to be with someone, I think, who cares about you on an emotional level. I think that that'll be a more rewarding experience for you. And the fact that you said you had this boyfriend, but it didn't sound like it was the best relationship. And the other thing that you could potentially do is bring in to the bedroom with your partner what you do alone.
Oh, yeah.
And bring and have that be part of the experience, because you know that works for you and you can kind of show them that and that can maybe like make you feel more comfortable. And
yeah,
they can pick up tips.
But I really understand that anxiety and fear when it comes to sex. Like, I didn't say what I wanted or anything like that. And I'm just gonna tell you, nothing bad's gonna happen. Like, it seems so scary, and it seems like whether it's like a slut shaming thing, and I didn't grow up religious, so I didn't have any guilt there, but I think it just wasn't a lot of women talking about what they wanted sex wise, and I hadn't been with guys who really cared to ask me. And then finally, when I started saying what I was into and like what I liked and what I wanted, nothing bad happened. Those things I wanted just happened. And like there was no judgment, there was no shit. And I even think about it now, it's not, I love Maz, but like, it's not that he's so special that like, oh wow, every other guy would have had an adverse reaction. It was like when I started like opening up and talking to him about stuff, I was like, and I like started with other guys that I dated. I was just kind of like, oh wow, I could have been doing this so long ago. Like, this is like, it's like an exciting, like, oh fuck yeah, this is what you, okay, cool, homework. Like, I got this. And even if they haven't been super considerate about the partners that they've slept with before, the first time that like they will make, if they've never made a girl like actually come before and every girl's been faking, the first time they make a girl like actually come, they'll be like, I am king of the fucking world. Like, this is what I want to do now. And so I think that there's a level of inexperience that it makes sense to be nervous. But I think also knowing that the people that you're sleeping with are probably also inexperienced. So it's just this combination of no one really like knowing to ask and then being like, this is what I need and all of that stuff. But I promise you, it will get better. You just have to like go for it and then realize I definitely regret not like being more like open and forthcoming with better other relationships, because I was like, oh wow, could have. And I was telling myself, I'm like, wish I masturbated when I was younger. I was like, oh, this could have been so much like more fun. I wasted so many years of sex.
You're still very young. You have a lot of sex ahead of you.
Yeah. But I don't know. I just wasted years of sex and so many. I mean, majority of my number being like, well, okay, fine, this was fine, I guess. But
yeah. And I found an article from a psychotherapist specializing in sexual disorders, and she says a lot of the same things that you guys were saying. And like, talk to him. Let him know your expectations for both of you, and let him know that you're thoroughly enjoying sex with or without an orgasm, and like eliminating anxiety and changing your focus to being more relaxed. But I'll link the article in the show notes.
Yeah. And, it's an easy thing to also, if your sexual experience has always included porn, that's an easy thing to bring into the bedroom to do together. And that might be a gateway step.
Yeah.
But also I'm getting the sense from you that you probably do need more of an emotional connection, and that's totally fine and valid.
Yeah, I think you have to feel comfortable around somebody, or don't have to, but I think maybe you need to feel comfortable around somebody in general before you feel comfortable naked, which is like even more of a tend to feel like uncomfortable feeling.
Talking about something that's really tough for you to talk about. Why would you be able to talk about that with someone you've met twice?
Yeah. So try it out. Let us know how it goes. I hope you get like one of those guys that's just like, this is all, like in that episode of Sex and the City where the guy's like so great at going down on girls. That's what I hope you get so badly.
We wish that for you.
Yeah. We wish good wet sex for you is our new motto. Yes. Nice, good wet sex. So best of luck. Hope you come and come back. Call us back. Should we go on to the
next call?
Yep. The next call.
Hey, Megan and Melissa and Jess. So I have been with my boyfriend for about 8 months now. We live together. I love him so absolutely much. Like, he is my absolute best friend. But we have this weird, I don't know if it was weird for him, but it's really weird for me. So it was actually on our anniversary. We got high. Our normal thing. Weed is a big part of our relationship. I love it. I love having that like connection with him. But we got high, and then it was like late at night, and we went and we had sex. But the whole time we were kind of like having sex, I was having this weird like outer body experience where I was like looking at like us having sex. And it didn't even feel like I was there. Like, it was my body that it was happening to. And then like, I was just like so turned off, and that's never happened before because like, we've had crazy, amazing sex. He's been like the best partner I've ever had. And I'm just like, I don't know if I'm confused, but I've just been really off like the last few days. and I don't really know what to do. I don't know. I love him, and he's just been, I don't know, it's just been this weird, big, just not knowing what I'm feeling, and like I feel like I can't really talk about some stuff. He actually just got a new car, and we did it like with my mom and stuff like that, and I'm in like desperate need of a car. But like he had his car paid off already, and he was just getting it just to get it pretty much. And I was just like, well, damn, like I wish that was me. But like I also didn't want to be selfish and like ruin his day. So it was all fun, and I love that he's so happy he got his dream car. It's like, it's amazing. But I've just been feeling like really, really off lately, and I don't know what to do, and I'm running out of time. So yeah, please give me any
Why are you
advice,
running out of
anything
time?
you think
Oh, they
will
only
help,
have 3 minutes.
or
Oh, I thought she was like,
something.
I
Yeah.
gotta make this
Thank you.
decision.
Bye.
I was like, oh my God, what's happening?
Oh my gosh. I'm literally just laughing at you saying that.
She was like, it's do or die.
They're coming for me. Oh God. Wow. I'm curious where the car part comes in.
Because she's feeling
Jealous?
off that she should have been happy for her boyfriend.
You're allowed to feel jealous of anyone at any time.
But I think she's thinking it because of her out of body experience
was it
with
weed?
sex.
Because I mean, the only time I've ever gotten that high is when it was like laced with something, and I found out later.
Oh no, what was it laced with?
I don't know, some hallucinogen.
Oh my God.
thing. Yeah, it was not a good time. That also
Yikes.
ruined my experience, and I thought I was like, I just can't do weed anymore. And then
You can't do weed anymore?
I can't do weed anymore. No, but then I was like, figured out that it was laced with something, and then I was like, okay, well now I still can't like fuck with like anything because it'll just make me too anxious because I'm anxious it's gonna happen again.
Oh.
And then I'll feel like I'm dying.
I think a scary thing that happens in relationships is that there's different phases. And so there'll be phases where you like each other the same amount, phases where he likes you more, phases where you like him more. And that first time where you get the phase where it seems like he likes you more can be like very unsettling. And
that's my favorite phase. No, but I know exactly.
You know
you're
what
right.
I mean?
You're totally
and you're
right.
like, oh no, what's going on? Like I'm so used to being completely enamored with this person.
Mm-hmm.
But in a long-term relationship, it's just not realistic.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think you have to take the pressure off of yourself and just recognize that like these phases happen and just sort of like take the pressure off and then see how you feel in a week or two. And if in a week or two your body is still like, I'm not happy, then like explore it.
Yeah.
But it's, you're going to have off moments and you're going to not always feel 100%, and that's okay. That's what a relationship is.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally spot on. And I mean, I think in general, that seems like a terrible, like, out-of-body experience because I've never filmed myself having sex, but from everyone I know who has, they said it was the worst decision they've ever made because it is the least sexy.
I disagree.
Really? So that's what I think because I love attention. So I would feel
we'll have to talk more about that later, Melissa.
Okay. Well, this makes my, like, every person I've ever talked to is like, no, God, because like it just makes it so unsexy.
Before.
Yeah. Oh my. See,
is that your favorite thing to do?
I wouldn't say favorite, but I enjoy it.
But I think like there can be like, I mean, yeah, I get getting like too high in a sense that like you kind of like you get like to the thing of what you're doing and you're being like, oh my God, this is what, and like sex can be very unsexy. Like it can be super, super unsexy. Also, especially when you've been together for a long time and you do take off those like rose colored glasses, like there can be like, you can queef. It can be funny. Like sex doesn't always have to be this like sensual, super crazy romantic thing. It can be like a horny, quick, like funny thing too. But I think if this is carrying on over, I think, you have to kind of look at it. Imagine if you had this as like a dream, as opposed to like, don't think about it as like a conscious thought that you had. Think about it like a dream. If I get mad at Mats in my dream, the whole next day, I'm fucking pissed at him. And he'll be like, why are you mad? I'm like, he did some fucked up shit in my dream. And I'll be mad for probably like 2 days.
What a lucky guy.
Oh yeah. He's having so much fun. But then it'll go away. And I think you need to look at it in that sense of being like, okay, this is a dream you had. Dreams aren't always real. It's not exactly how you feel all the time. But if that dream kind of like planted a seed in your head and then you're like, oh, okay, this isn't getting better. I still do feel weird. I still don't have these like feelings for you. And like, I just see you as my best friend and I really love you, but I'm no longer like sexually attracted to you. And that's what I want in a relationship. Then that might be it. I'll say 8 months is like a good amount of time to be with somebody, but you can love someone and they can be your best friend and it can go from a sexual relationship to then not being so much into it. But I think you need to don't stress about those feelings. Like you said, like, don't get too anxious about them. Don't stress about them. Just like leave them there. And then in a couple weeks, if that's still like there, I think it is something that then you should address. And it's figuring out like, oh, am I still sexually attracted to my partner? Because that's like minus the high part. So I'm saying this, like, treat this like a dream because I don't want to compare it to like how I am. But this would be a conscious thought for me, is that like, I would literally wake up next to someone and be like, wow, I fucking hate you. Like, I am not like, I don't want you to touch me with a 10-foot pole. And like yesterday I was hella down to sleep with you and I do not want you to like not into it. And then that for me would be like, oh, okay, I'm done. Like, I don't like you like that anymore. But I think you just need to like, don't stress yourself out so much because it could just be like a phase in your life.
Also, you were high, so I would take the meaning out of that specific experience because you were not sober.
Yeah, it's like a dream. Like, it's like an subconscious thing.
So like give you don't put weight on what you're feeling, and then see how you feel in a little bit. But also feelings change, and that's okay. And I know it feels scary, but just. My sense is that it's probably just you had a bad trip and now it's just you're wigging out over it.
Yeah, it's like eating some food and then getting food poisoning, not from that thing, and then you're like, I can never eat. Yeah, I can't ever eat Three Musketeers bars again. So but really, they're not bad.
Right. I would separate how that experience from your actual relationship and kind of chalk it more up to like a bad trip.
Yeah. So have some like really hot, great sex. So then that's like the last most recent taste in your mouth.
But don't feel like you have to force that. Like you can wait until you're ready to do that.
Yeah.
Because I think if you get into a habit of having sex when you don't want to have sex because you feel like you should, then it will just sort of snowball from there. Mm-hmm. So really like listen to your body and maybe don't do it until you feel like you actually want to.
Yeah. And if you feel comfortable talking to him about it, you can also talk to him about like, hey, that was weird. And maybe don't have high sex for a while.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very true.
Because that can also be, I used to hear sirens every time I smoked weed. I was like, this is fucking terrible. It was crazy. I'm done.
Everything you say, I'm like, whoa.
Was it because like you would smoke so much when you were younger and you were afraid the cops were coming?
Yeah.
Got it.
All the time. All the fucking time. Hotbox cars and just be like, they're coming. And also like I think about it in the sense that like back then my friends like, no, they're not. And now I think I was like, well, they definitely could have been because it's literally just a car parked in a driveway filled with smoke. Like, of course, like this is it, like we were like, no, they have no idea. And I was like, are you sure? And I'm like,
they might have had an idea, but might not have cared because they had other things to do.
They also weren't near me. The cops were nowhere near me, but I was still convinced.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it time for Don't Blame Them?
It is.
Okay. So this is where a listener calls in with their own personal advice from a previous episode from a different call that we've had. So if maybe they have high sexual experiences, but I mean, obviously not because that was this episode, but what do we have?
So we have this original call was from the last episode we had with Kelsey Dara, and the caller that called in was in a online BDSM relationship.
Yes.
And so they wanted to know if they should meet up. They were like falling in love with the person they were in the relationship with, and they wanted to like meet up with them. And so this is someone calling in with some similar experience. Mm-hmm. And they're also from Australia, like the person.
Maybe it's the person. Maybe it is the person. I would love if that happened.
And they're like, yes, meet me.
Yeah. Or no, I have a wife and kids.
Hey, Megan. I'm from Australia and just saw the BDSM online relationship podcast, and being in a BDSM relationship myself, I know a few things about it. There are some dom-sub relationships where the dom does prefer to remain anonymous, and there are some doms that prefer that because they have multiple submissives and don't want other submissives finding out about it. But I definitely think that they should talk to their dom from Australia about whether that's the kind of relationship they're looking for, whether it is something that is purely sexual and not meant to have a full relationship, like an emotional attachment, and to make sure that if their dom does want to remain anonymous, that they do respect their boundaries. Yeah. Bye.
Good. Yeah. That sounds legit to me.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
I have no personal experience with these relationships except for that time that I saw 50 Shades of Grey in the theater.
Oh, wow.
Saw the first one.
It was so boring.
Yeah, she was actually quite likable though.
Yeah.
She was great. I was like, damn girl, good. You're carrying this. You know, like you're making this funny, like lighthearted.
My entire hobby for 2015 was just looking up how much the two of them hated each other in real life. That's all I would do.
Yeah.
Is I just Google photos of them looking so miserable.
But I get it. I would hate that. I would hate him too if I was in that movie.
No, the issue was that they both took these roles, but hating BDSM and thinking it's a bad thing and like feeling shame about it.
Oh, wow.
So like they should not have been part of this movie.
Yeah. Weird.
And it made them like really uncomfortable.
Oh, well, yeah, I could see that. I mean,
then don't take the fucking role.
Yeah, but I mean,
Especially
so
'cause
much
it's
money.
so many movies.
Right, exactly.
Did you ever read those books?
I read the first one and then like part of the second one, and I
was so
couldn't.
disappointed.
Same.
Yeah.
I
It was
was
poorly written.
And also, like, as someone who read a bunch of like fucking nasty fanfic as a kid, I was like, this shit is lame. Like, I was expecting so much more. But I did love the era of when it came out, and you couldn't go on a plane without seeing like like an elderly woman with like the book being like, I loved that. That was a good time.
You know what I love? Seeing adults eating ice cream.
Oh. That's cute.
So vanilla.
It's like, but like it's just so cute. Like just
on
like
a cone.
Just like on a cone or just like by themselves, just like treating themselves to
that
ice
is
cream.
really cute.
And the older, the better. That's my hobby.
Oh, I like that. Well, that's it for our episode, guys. Allison, plug your shit.
Oh, if you liked my voice or just my general vibe, I also have a podcast called Just Between Us, where we give advice, we talk to different experts in different fields and discuss random topics. There's a game show element.
Mm-hmm.
Very exciting. So check that out anywhere you listen to podcasts.
That's all right. I'm just joking.
Says our producer.
She keeps us humble.
Exactly.
And if you guys want to be on an upcoming episode of Don't Blame Me, leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. And to international listeners, you can send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. Check us out on Instagram at Don't Blame Me Pod. And our socials will be listed down below. And then, go subscribe on iTunes and all of that stuff. And then we've got the video version on YouTube if you want to see us in our cute sweatpants. And we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Don't Blame Me is a production by me. Executive produced by Melissa DeMonts. Camera operator Amanda Lechner. And music by Ryan Hunter and Giacomo Picasso, part of the HerPod Network.
Listening to a podcast should be time well spent, and I promise it will be if you'll give this podcast a try. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in every episode, I talk with leading experts on topics I know you will find fascinating. From why people can't keep secrets, what your favorite music says about you, why your pet acts in strange ways, and so much more. Something You Should Know is designed to give you information you can use in your life and give you great intel that you can share with others. I'm told it's a binge-worthy podcast. And with over 1,000 episodes, there's a lot to binge on. Something You Should Know has been ranked in the top of the Apple Podcast charts consistently for a long time. I know you're going to like this. I just need to get you to try it. Something You Should Know. It's available wherever you listen to podcasts.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Buntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I study the secrets of the divine plagues and uncover the blasphemous truth that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The Heresies of Red Ulf Buntwine, wherever podcasts are available.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all, I'm JJ.
Hey, guys, it's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests who share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out Real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.